Go Power Rangers!
Are you ready?
Flash me, Big Daddy.
Never again say that sentence as long as we are friends. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another reaction time with me, Greg Virgo, joined by Dean the Beast and Jay. Dean, how are you? I haven't talked to you in years.
I know, I'm so good. How are you doing, Greg?
That's like really weird, because like every time I think I talk to you, it's like I really hi, Dean. Hi, it's me, Greg. If you haven't seen our reaction times, it's not Greg putting on a transvestite girl voice the entire time. We actually react to stuff, hence the name there for you. When you see Dean and I together, that means that it's going to be reaction time, not only about your favorite television shows, but it's about your favorite superhero TV shows. It's like really crack. Before we start these, I want to say that Dean and I, this past weekend, went to Philadelphia Comic-Con.
Sure did.
I got to see a panel with Stephen Amell, who plays the Arrow. And on this panel, he kind of revealed some stuff that I don't think he was supposed to reveal. Like the show is called, what is it? Legends at War? The spin-off show?
Legends of the Tomorrow.
No, but he said it was called Legends of War.
I just read today they said Legends of Tomorrow.
That's what I said, too. And then he kept putting out all these little trinkets of information that Roy and Thea might appear on the spin-off show and might leave Arrow. And also,
it was his birthday that day. Did you know that?
Yes, it was. Somebody wished him a happy birthday. It's like the last.
He had out front of the booth where he was sitting, where you could like go meet and greet. He had all like the birthday banners up and stuff. That's kind of nice.
A bunch of people gave him presents too.
I saw that. He had a whole table of presents.
It was like insane. People love him. But yeah, just
seemed like a cool guy.
Stephen Amell is an awesome character. I just want to point out, and he was hysterical. I know he plays a very serious role, but at the panel he was making me cry of laughter. Also, if you guys, that's where I was alluding to this whole thing. If you didn't hear, Constantine, the show got canceled, and there was talks for the Flash and Arrow to both appear on that show as a crossover. So I think they have a petition or something going around for the internet to like bring back the show on Hulu or Yahoo or something. So if you like Constantine, Dean and I have never watched it, but if you like Constantine and want to see,
actually, I caught like 15 minutes of one, and that was really it. I don't have an opinion on it one way or the other, honestly.
Yeah, I can't say whether or not it was a bad show and deserved to be canceled, but if you guys like Constantine, then go ahead and definitely support them, because there could be some Arrow Flash stuff that could happen, and that I always support, is more Arrow than Flash. Today, to get back to what we actually do here, we were talking about The Flash Season 1, Episode 21, titled Grodd Lives.
Rock.
I am Grodd.
I liked it.
Grodd is awesome. Gorilla Grodd
is cool.
Freaking phenomenal, but we will get into why he is. The show opens up, and in a surprising twist of events, it's not a Barry monologue of him running around the city. It's Flash running around the city with an Iris monologue over it this week. And she kind of talks about, it starts off kind of sweet, and then like the whole episode, just like Iris, kind of takes a turn. She's like, one day you'll meet this person, and they'll become your best friend. You tell them all your secrets until they lie to you. And I was like, oh my god. But how'd you feel about that opening there with Iris?
Yeah, it was different. I mean,
we don't really like Iris, as everybody knows.
She's okay. I want to like Iris.
Yeah,
I just
me too.
don't.
Yeah, I'm still a big advocate of Carrie, Caitlin, and Barry. I want them to hook up because I love my favorite episode. Or favorite moment, I should say, of relationships this season of The Flash was when they go drunk to the karaoke bar and they sing Grease together.
Yeah,
and
that was a good one.
Because it was absolutely hysterical. Especially when she gets, like, undressed in front of him and he's, like, flashing around and getting her clothes and stuff. And, like, she's like, I just love you so much. Thanks for putting me in a bed drunk. But who knows what could happen, because if you do remember that doppelganger, Hannibal Bates did change into Barry, and she went for the kiss there, even though Ronnie's still alive. So we'll see what happens.
And she liked it.
She liked it a lot. A lot. She wants the Flash all up in her crevices, but as we continue on here, Eddie is still missing and nobody can find him. Do we really care about Eddie at this point? I still kind of hate him as a character.
He's the worst. I kind of just wish he would stay trapped in that little dungeon there.
Keep him in the futuristic crazy bunker that we find out at the end of the thing. I still don't know where it is, but like
I don't know where. I don't think we're supposed to know where it is.
But we will soon enough. Barry continues lying to Iris, and she kind of gives him, for the first like 15 to 20 minutes of this episode, kind of gives him opportunities to be like, oh, if you were like the Flash, I can't really trust anymore because I feel like he's just lying to me all the time. And she kind of gives him these opportunities where he could just be like, well, I'm the Flash, like, sorry. And he
Yeah.
kind of doesn't take the bait, and she kind of gets like pissed. And a lot this episode, a very Iris-centric episode. She storms out of a lot of different places. The police precinct, Star Labs, Barry's house, her house with Eddie at one point. Like, that was Iris this episode.
Yeah, pretty much.
And how did you feel about that? Did you want him to kind of admit it that way?
No, I feel like, as we've said many times, I watched The Flash with Jen, okay?
Yes.
And she said it perfectly. We're sitting there watching it, and like she's listening to Iris complain over and over again throughout this episode about how he lied and didn't tell her. And Jen finally just like, why is it any of your business? And I was like, exactly. Yeah. It's none of your business. If you wanted to tell you, he could have told you.
It's just, I kind of get Iris's argument too, because it's like she kind of brings up the best friends thing. And it would be totally different if they became best friends like recently, like Caitlin and Cisco.
Right.
And he didn't tell them stuff about the past, but like they grew up together. So that was what I found. Like you could kind of talk about like both their moms dying and like they had a bunch to bond over. So like I get why she's pissed. Like it makes sense why she's pissed.
Sort of, but like it's not, it's like, wouldn't you kind of understand? Like it's a pretty enormous secret.
Yeah, I completely understand Barry, and I'll get to why I join his side by the end of it, because he brings up a very valid argument that I totally forgot about. But as we keep moving on here, a masked man using a rocket launcher blows up this police SWAT convoy thing, and then as Barry and Cisco are working at Star Labs together, Cisco informs Barry, and he rushes over there, very Flash-esque style, gets there, and we find out that it's the gold reserve that this guy is trying to rob. Seems like a basic criminal, like nothing crazy, until Barry gets there, does his like one-liner, you can't go any further with this, sir. And then he gets these weird like mind flashes, I guess we could call them, no pun intended there. And he kind of falls to the ground. He kind of gets paralyzed by that and becomes almost crippled to a sense, kind of takes him out. The guy kind of falters a bit. And then they kind of disperse from that scene. What did you think going into this? At that moment, I was like, what in God's name?
I mean, clearly the two were connected in some capacity. I wasn't really sure how or who it was going to be underneath the suit. But that was a big surprise to find out who it was, who I had forgotten all about.
Totally forgot all about. But a very major factor still, as we find out later in the episode. This had a lot of like key people come back, I feel like.
Yeah, this was a great episode.
This week for both Arrow and The Flash, they had a lot of past people coming back and doing stuff like that. But Caitlin, Cisco, and Barry are trying to figure out what the masked man's deal is. And then they notice that he got disturbed too. Like I said, he kind of gets crippled after Barry kind of does. And then Iris, defiant, sassy black woman she is, comes up into Star Labs and is like, yeah, that would be weird. She says, I didn't write down the exact quote, which is...
It was something like that.
But she says, like, yeah, that would be weird, like, if somebody did find out your secret, right? And then, like, they're all... Caitlin literally is my favorite expression. She's just like, ha, ha, ha. And she, like, tries to say something, but she can't. And then they kind of sit down in silence as she just goes off. So how did you feel about... I thought it was kind of badass, Virus, in that moment, to just be like, hey...
It was kind of badass, but it kind of goes back to the same thing. Like, I felt the same way. Like, I wasn't really swaying towards her favor after that. I was still kind of like, do you not know how to mind your business? Like, get out. This is not your place. Why are you here? Why are you just bursting into this lab?
I feel like out of this show, your best friend is Barry Allen. And out of this show, my best friend is either Caitlin or Cisco. And that's why I can be swayed with these episodes where they're like, okay, like, feel bad for Iris. Like, if you didn't tell me something important, Dean, I would hate you. Like, if you didn't tell me you were a superhero, I would be kind of angry with you.
But here's the thing. It's like the golden rule, pretty much, of being a hero. The more people who know, the more people are in danger.
Well, that was thrown out the window in both of these shows when everybody in the world just finds out everything.
Well, for someone who's supposed to be his future wife, you would think he wants to protect her.
Well, yeah, and then we get into that. Let's get into that a little bit this episode. So we cut to commercial break after she has her sassy black woman moment, and then they come back here, and Cisco and Caitlin have this cool moment. I just love them. They're my favorite people in the world. And they have this awkward moment where she's like, I mean, it's none of our business at all, like, but, like, there is, like, cameras in there, and, like, we could totally listen in. And Cisco's like, yeah, but, like, we shouldn't listen in at all. And they're both, like, scratching their heads and stuff. And they decide to listen in. Barry kind of talks to Iris, bringing her up to speed. And I did like the way that they did this throughout the episode. Iris kind of still doesn't know about anything. She just finds out about the Flash, and we, as viewers, know everything about them. We know what has happened, like, about Mason Bridge being killed by Reverse Flash and stuff, and all of the people just kind of assume that Iris knows everything.
Right.
And I like that they didn't just play that off as, like, a major plot hole, like I feel like they would have. Everything Barry kind of reveals to her, she's like, wait, what? Like, at one point they're having this conversation, and she's like, wait, Eddie knows? And Barry's kind of like, yeah, like, I kind of told him first, and we kind of did this to protect you. And she's like, wait, who else did you tell? And he's like, your dad knew too. And she's like, my dad knew? And I just love that happened. Like, that sequence of events played out. How did you feel about that?
I had a problem with that, actually, that
Really?
exact part. Yeah, it revealed some pretty, not major, but some pretty big plot holes, if you think about it, because Eddie blatantly told Iris, I've been working with the Flash, right? That happened.
Yes.
He said those words to her.
Yeah.
So right there, as soon as she found out Barry was the Flash, she knew Eddie knew. Now, Eddie being her dad's partner for all this time,
you're right.
they were both working with the Flash, obviously, because they're partners. So I don't know why that was a thing that had to take place.
Because for stupid people like me that didn't put that together. Wow, I totally forgot about that. So I thought they made up for all these plot holes, when in turn they just made them 10 times larger.
Yeah, there was plot hole, and you know me, I'm a big advocate for the show, but
Yeah.
you know, it is what it is. There's going to be plot holes from time to time.
I kind of hate this episode now. Hold on.
Do you?
We'll keep going.
I still enjoyed the episode.
Let's keep going. Hopefully it'll redeem itself. This is why I write notes, because like I'll forget stuff and then it makes me love it more. Then we get to see a very captive Eddie, who is then chained up to his chair. He was kind of my most annoying part of this episode. He kind of makes these witty one-liners to Harrison Wells the whole time, and I'm just kind of like, shut up, like nobody likes you, you're the worst, as Dean would say. And he's visited by a very deranged Wells, who now I love. Wells was so good before, but now that he's full-on evil, like, I'm embracing this character, and I love him so much.
Yeah.
And Eddie kind of makes the stupid one-liner joke at this point, and Reverse Flash, eyes go red, he zaps over to him, and he's like, just shut up, like, keep quiet, I don't want to listen to you while I'm down here.
Yeah, that was intense.
It was so good. And then later throughout that episode, he goes back in the bunker, and he kind of reveals to Eddie, Eddie's like, if we are part of the same, like, descendant whatever timeline, he's like, how could you be my descendant? I'm such a good person, I'm a cop, and you're the Reverse Flash.
Right.
To which Harrison Wells kind of tells him, like, you're the one failure of our entire bloodline. Everyone has become either a major political figure, scientist, they've done some good in the world, and you were a basic cop on the police force, didn't even get to captain, and I know your future.
A basic bitch, as they say.
How crazy was that?
Yeah, that was kind of messed up, especially because he was just trying to do right.
And the last line was the worst. When he says, and I wrote this quote down because I felt really bad for Eddie. Like, we hate on him a lot, but he said, you're a waste of a man, a waste of life. And he said, oh, by the way, you don't even get the girl, and reveals the hologram newspaper of Iris West Allen.
Yeah, that was messed up.
I felt so bad for Eddie in that
Me
moment.
too. That was pretty brutal.
Do you feel like you would have just killed yourself then? I would have been like, just do the vibrating hand heart thing at this point.
I just, like, we do hate on him a lot, as you said, but, like, I definitely sympathize with him because it's pretty much a guy who's just trying to do his job and, you know, like, have a normal life. He wants to get married. He wants to just be a good police officer, and, like, everybody's making that really difficult for him.
It's so sad. I feel for the guy. And
he's a cheeseball, though. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, no, he's the worst.
Cheeseball.
He's Captain Cold of The Flash.
Yeah.
Which, no, Captain Cold is on The Flash, still.
Captain Cold is. I was just gonna let it happen.
I was like, wait, that's the other thing. But you know what I mean. They're just like, they have very corny characters. And at the end of this whole, like, scenario where they're talking out and stuff, at this point, if I was Eddie, like, why don't you just not have kids, and then the Reverse Flash kind of never happens?
Right.
You ever think about that? Like, he never got Iris impregnated, unless he has, like, some random baby mama out there.
Yeah, but I mean, then he can never have intercourse again for the rest of his life, and he's a pretty young guy.
I mean, he can. He just has to be.
Not really. Not without
the risk.
100% certainty that he's not going to bring him into the world.
This is true. I still need to know how Reverse Flash got his powers. Did we ever figure that out?
No, but I think we will over time. Again, this is only the first season.
I know.
Which is so crazy to hear out loud.
I keep forgetting that, and they acknowledge that at some point in this episode too. But we'll keep going here. Papa Joe talks to Iris and apologizes to her. I think she's at the Central City newspaper, and that's when the reveal happens of Mason Bridge, and she's like, wait, Mason's dead? And I'm like, wait, now that you're telling me about the plot holes, she kind of should have already figured that out at this point. And then
but that one's a little more forgivable.
Yeah, a little bit more. But then she places the blame for Eddie's kidnapping on Papa Joe, and then she says a harsh line again. I wrote down like the meanest quotes of this episode. Papa Joe gets really sad, and he's like, he gets a phone call, and he's like, "Oh, this is work," and she's like, "Oh, talking to somebody, that'd be new for you, right?" And I'm like, "No, Papa Joe. Papa Joe's the best. Like, don't make fun of Papa Joe." But how'd you feel about that scene playing out? I just love Papa Joe.
Yeah, I like Joe a lot, and Iris has a bad attitude, and I also don't like later in the episode he like apologizes to her for that, and I'm like, why, dude? You did the right thing, and Iris is being real nosy, and she's just
a stubborn
she's
little
just
girl.
like, yeah, she's just upset because like she wasn't involved.
Yeah.
It's really the in the grand scheme of things what's going on.
Guys, you didn't tell me.
Right?
She's like,
it wasn't for you to know. Why would she know? Really? She's a reporter, first of all, so she's the biggest chance of something leaking out that doesn't need to be leaked out because she works at the newspaper.
Truthful.
Everyone else has a reason to know. His allies work at the lab. They make his equipment. Joe and Eddie are part of the forensics department. He's a part of the forensics department. Like, why would you need to know?
Mm-hmm. We'll get to why in just a bit, because she does have a very big... What is that? Not alliance. What is it? She's an asset in a big way in this episode. The captain gets a lead and discovers the man in the mask is trying to hit a transport of gold. So they're going to try to deceive him. Papa Joe and the rest of the SWAT force kind of hide in this ice cream truck. Playing the music. This was just a weird scene. I don't know why they included it. They were playing music, and this one woman like knocks on the window as they stop at like a red light. And he's like... She's like, "Oh, like, we want ice cream." And he's like, "We're out of ice cream." And I thought, like, this was going to be the guy in the mask at first. Like, I didn't know what they were doing with the scene. And she's like, "But your music's on." And he's like, "Yeah, that just means we're out of stuff." And then they keep driving. I'm like, I don't know why that was included. But
yeah, it was a little awkward.
Thought that was a bit awkward. The masked man had planted a landmine underneath the ice cream truck. Don't know how this happened, but he blows up the ice cream truck. Everyone stops. Everyone kind of gets taken out by him. Papa Joe shoots at him once, and then when it looks like he's about to get shot himself, the Flash comes over, literally just like shoves him, but in a very fast manner, so he goes flying. And then they reveal that this is General Eiling from way back in the Ronnie Professor Stein episode. Was the last time I believe we saw him as the general of the military. How did you feel about that reveal? I was kind of in shock.
Huge surprise to me. Yeah, it was a huge surprise to me. I had no idea.
Yeah, but I thought it was awesome. Cisco and the gang bring him back to the metahuman chamber cell thing, and he kind of seems to be in this trance. In a very nice nod and Easter egg from the Arrow episode, Cisco's like, "Yeah, guys, just got off the phone with Layla, Diggle's wife, and she told me that General Eiling's been missing." And I really love that I just love that they're so self-aware of each other, and it's not like you have to have this big crossover episode in order to know that they're connected.
Yeah.
And also cool that Cisco and Layla are apparently friends. Didn't know that was a thing, but that's awesome. And then they find out that Argus is trying to cover up that he's been on leave. And then this deep voice kind of takes over. And he kind of gets like this like weird like blue filter on him, and he starts talking, saying that Caitlyn's a nice girl, talking like a caveman, and which you can kind of hear Gorilla Grodd's voice. And as we all know, as I'm assuming you knew, as fan of the comics and stuff, Gorilla Grodd has telepathic abilities. So at this point, I kind of clicked in for me with the title of the episode that Grodd was living. And then at the end, he says, "I am Grodd, fear me," and it cuts to commercial break. How'd you feel about that scene playing out?
It was pretty intense, dude.
Awesome.
I don't know the actor's name offhand, but the general, he's really killed it with that intense, creepy voice. He's actually a voice actor. He does Mr. Krabs. Actually,
yeah, I was just gonna say that. That's how I know him. He's played Mr.
Krabs. Yeah, he did a really good job of that. I like that scene a lot.
His first name I think is Martin something, but I could be completely wrong on that.
I can look it up while we're talking here.
Yeah, that works. Cisco shows the gang Gorilla Grodd and fills them in that he was undergoing experiments with all these serums and stuff as they were trying to make these like psychic soldiers, so to speak. When he underwent all this stuff, the particle accelerator exploded. Particle accelerator, there we go. That's how you pronounce your words, people. It exploded, and they probably offset this like mind control capabilities. Caitlin then looks up the brain waves of both General Eiling and Gorilla Grodd and finds out that they're the same exact neurons are being tapped into. Then Iris kind of steps back in again in another defiant, sassy moment, and she's like, "Maybe I can help everybody." And they're all like, "Iris, what are you doing here again?" Because they don't lock the doors to start with. I love it so much. And then she kind of gives them the lead in order to find Gorilla Grodd, saying that there's been missing people going on in the sewers. and that there's been a lot of rumblings of crazy animals being in the sewers, a lot of rumblings. So they track down Gorilla Grodd there, and Cisco, Barry, and Papa Joe go investigating the sewers. And this was an awesome scene. I love the way they played this out. The sewers were kind of terrifying. Gorilla Grodd wasn't showing up for the longest time, and is it Cisco who's laying out the flares the whole way there? And the way the whole scene was shot, and as they're going through it, it was just awesome. How did you feel?
Yeah, it looked really cool. They definitely did a good job of like setting that creepy atmosphere for his son.
Yeah.
You kind of didn't really know. It reminded me a lot of this might miss with some of our younger viewers, but it reminded me a lot of the old King Kong ride that was in Universal Studios.
Yeah, that's what I thought of.
It was really well done.
And that's what I kind of get from Gorilla Grodd too, is like he looks like the CGI, like as good as the King Kong movie. Like the CGI of him doesn't look bad at all.
I'm really impressed, especially because I know their budget's not that crazy, and like they have some really talented visual effects guys over there.
Just been killing it this whole season. In the separation kind of a thing here, Caitlin and Iris are back at Star Labs watching through the camera that they have hooked up to Cisco. They kind of put the camera on mute for a second, and Iris kind of thanks Caitlin for sticking up to the rest of the guys about just her like being brought into the fold and stuff like that. And then they kind of bond over Ronnie. And Iris is like, wait, so Fireman is kind of like the guy that you've been having sex with? And she's kind of like, yeah. And they're like, we're girls, we love penis. And then it's
that whole scene was a miss for me personally. I don't know if it's just because I'm not a female, so I can't really relate.
Yeah, it was just weird.
Jen also felt like that scene didn't need to happen, and she's obviously a female, so maybe it just didn't need to be there.
This was one of the first Flash episodes where I felt like they had very misplaced scenes, and I've never felt like that about this show, but it kind of reminded me of Arrow. Like, I wonder if, like, one of the writers of Arrow came over here for a week and was just like, let me put my little magic on this and confuse people.
It really could have been. I know sometimes people guest direct episodes and things of that nature, so it's not out of the realm of possibility.
Totally possible. But Grodd comes out of nowhere and interrupts everybody, separates our group, takes Barry out telepathically, and literally, like, Grodd is just a force to be reckoned with. And then he kidnaps Papa Joe. Cisco and Barry kind of escape from the thing there. I was freaking out the whole time this was happening. We come back from the commercial grape. That's what you get, everybody. In between your shows, you get your commercial grapes. Your commercial breaks. And Grodd, in this was the first time. I want to ask you, did you believe Papa Joe in this instance? Grodd, Papa Joe takes out the tranquilizer gun, and Grodd kind of forces Papa Joe to like twist it to point at himself. And right before he's about to pull the trigger, he throws the gun away. And how did you feel about Papa Joe's acting during the scene?
It was a little dramatic.
A little bit, right? Like, I never get down on his acting, but I felt like this was really bad.
It was a little dramatic, yeah. As far as like the making it look like he wasn't in control of the gun, I thought like that was better than I could have done.
That was really good.
That's hard to pull off.
He was like shaking it and stuff. It looked legitimate.
But yeah, he was like screaming and crying.
Cisco, help me!
Yeah, it was a little bit overkill.
Like, what is Cisco gonna do? And then he like remembers Cisco in that moment, and he takes out the banana, and he's kind of like, "Is this what you want?" I'm like, "Papa Joe, you're not that stupid." And Grodd kind of makes this dumb mark, and he's like, "Grodd hate banana, raw," and he like roars in his face. I'm like, "What is this scene?" Very, very odd there. But then the gang, we go back to Star Labs. They're discussing how to get Papa Joe and Eddie both back. Iris storms out once again, and this is the one moment where I was kind of like, all right, I'm not on Iris' side anymore. Barry tells her not to be mad at Papa Joe, to be mad at him. She flips out, and then Barry kind of gives her the guilt trip about them, and kind of tells them, like, listen, you didn't tell me when you were in love with me, even though you had feelings for me, and you're still with Eddie, so you're kind of like a conceited, messed up bitch. And then
pretty much.
She kind of goes silent, and doesn't say anything, and I was kind of like, yeah, like, I kind of don't like you, Iris. I forgot I didn't like you. But how'd you feel about that scene?
Yeah, well, you know, I'm always on Team Barry. I get his motives. I don't get Iris's motives. She's too fickle. She's all mess. She's all over the place. Yeah. I don't like it.
Yeah. Wells informs Eddie about the failure of the bloodline. That whole scene plays out that we talked about before. And then the gang has this plan to take out Grodd. They set up I think his name was Gruber. The past villain that was made out of full steel. He could, like, transform his body into, like, straight platinum or silver, whatever his power was. And they set up the supersonic punch that they did on him, on Grodd.
Oh, yeah, right.
I forget the guy's name. I think they said it, but I'm forgetting.
I don't know, but the actor who plays the general is named Clancy Brown, by the way.
Oh, awesome. Proud of you, Mr. Brown. Look at you doing fun stuff. So nothing to do with Martin. I was close on that one. Not proud of me and stuff. So they set up the supersonic punch, and Iris is like, "What are you guys setting up? What's even the plan? I don't know what's going on." And then they're kind of like, Cisco's like, "It's the supersonic punch. You wouldn't even understand. It's kind of like a big deal. Why you want to get it?" And Barry goes zooming away in the Flash costume, and they set up this moment to be so badass, and then it disperses like that. Barry's running, and it's in slow motion, and it's beautiful, and then Grodd notices that he's running towards him, so Grodd, like, starts running back, and I'm like, this is gonna be awesome! Barry goes to do the punch, Grodd literally takes him with his 2 fingers, picks his fist, stops him, and throws him to the side. I'm like, what? Were you so
I still
let
thought
down?
That was pretty awesome.
It was badass, but I was like so let down. I wanted there to be like a huge
I knew what was going to happen because Grodd is clearly meant to be like not to be trifled with. So I kind of assumed they're going to do something like that.
It was insane.
And they did it, man. And then I think, was this the episode where he tried to do the speed punches? And they were like, I'll try some speed punches on him. And like,
literally right after
nothing happened.
Literally right after, Caitlin goes, "We'll try some speed punches on him or something, Barry." And then he runs over. He's like, "Nothing's working, guys. I do not know." He kind of sounds like Alpha from Power Rangers, to reference that from earlier. I guess that's what I made him sound like. And as he's doing the speed punches, Gorilla Grodd keeps throwing him. Literally throws him through like 4 or 5 brick walls. And Barry's just trying to do random stuff. Finally, it was like the psychedelic helmet thing that Cisco made for him that could stop the psychic waves, the telepathic connection from Grodd to Barry. It busts when he gets thrown through like the 5th wall. Surprising, not so much. And then Barry's falls to the ground when Grodd is kind of like just messing with his mind in every way, shape, and form. I don't even know what he's showing him the whole time, but he's showing him like just evil, scary things. And the service train, of course, is coming, as this would normally happen, because that's where he gets thrown through the wall from the sewers. The service train is on its way. Barry's kind of still freaking out. Caitlin and Cisco are like, "We don't know what to do, Barry. Get up. Get out of there." And Iris is like, "I got this, everybody." Sassy black girl to the rescue. She comes over, gets on the thing, and she's like, "Barry, listen to my voice. You know that I love you, and you know that we're best friends always, and I love you so much. So do this for me, Barry. Do it for Iris." And then Barry has this corny-ass montage where he sees Iris and all of her, like, weirdness, her at the coffee shop. And then I kind of like that he remembered the kiss, the pimp-out kiss that we love.
Yeah.
Our favorite episode. And that's kind of what wakes him up from this state. And then he, knowing that he can't punch out Gorilla Grodd, kind of waits for him. He gets up and he's like, "You can't mind control me anymore, Gorilla Grodd." And as the train comes, he kind of steps out of the way just in time for the train to take Gorilla Grodd out. But how'd you feel about that scene playing out? Did you like that Iris was the one that could wake him up, or were you kind of just like...
It was appropriate as far as the show goes.
Yeah. But still kind of just like, why is this a thing?
Yeah, you know, I want to like Iris. She's pretty.
Yeah.
She seems like a nice young lady.
She's pretty.
I just can't get behind her motives on this show.
Yeah. Just like the same way we feel about Laura. We love Black Canary. We love that character, just not the way that she's being written right now.
Right.
Then we find out that Barry then gets to Papa Joe. He's kind of like, "Barry, thank God, I thought I was going to die." And Barry's like, "No, you're fine," because that's their voices in my head. They go back to Star Labs with General Eiling. Barry kind of releases him from the cell. As Eiling walks away, you kind of hear the Mr. Krabs in his voice, or at least I do all the time when I hear him. And he kind of tells him, Barry's like, "You're going to need me for something, otherwise you would have taken me out a while ago." Because General Eiling reveals that he knows that Barry's the Flash. He's like, "I figured that out, like, 17 months back." He's like, "I've just been waiting for this moment to happen." And he kind of goes, "I'm not going to go after you because Harrison Wells put me in the chamber with Gorilla Grodd and I hate him. So we have a common enemy. I won't hunt you down." Do you kind of feel like they're going to partner up in the future? Or?
It sounds like they're going to have to.
Yeah, in order to take out, especially Reverse Flash. Like, Reverse Flash paired up with Gorilla Grodd, I really don't know how they're going to win, to be honest.
Right.
Like, that's kind of freaking me out a little. Cisco and Caitlin discuss how crazy Grodd got, and then Papa Joe is recovering in the room. We brought this up earlier, but he kind of apologizes to Iris. They hug it out, and they have this corny moment where Iris hugs him, and he has like 3 broken ribs. So he's like, "Oh, Iris, don't hug me so hard." And she's like, "My bad, Daddy." And they're like, "Oh."
I knew 1,000% that they were going to do like stupid classic sitcom.
It's like such a cliche.
Like, I was like, why'd you have to do it?
It's like so CW. You're right. Like the old CW shows, that's exactly what I thought of.
Yeah.
She's like, "My bad, Daddy." And they like high five. I'm like, why is this a show? Then Caitlin and Cisco talk to Barry, and they discuss how Wells used to be like the central guy to their team, and that Cisco kind of gets down on himself. He's like, if Wells was here, the thing wouldn't have malfunctioned. Like, you would have been okay. And Barry's like, you guys don't understand. Like, we saved Papa Joe. We don't need Wells. Like, it's just the three of us, and we could face anything that comes our way. And kind of like a nice motivational speech. And then Caitlin kind of ruins it, and she's like, it wasn't the three of us, Barry. It was all four of us. Talking about Iris. And I'm like,
right. Which kind of makes it seem like now she's going to be a thing, which is annoying.
What do you think? Like, she can't... What, is she going to find out all the scoops and be like, guys, I know where Grodd is now?
Yeah, I think she's going to be like a part of this situation now.
This is the worst.
I feel like they're going to need her as like the wild card. Like when things get too rough, then like we got Iris to coach on Barry, because he gave that whole speech about how he's like, it's all for you, Iris. It's all for you.
It kind of makes sense because Wells used to be that guy. He used to be the one that was be like, I believe in you, Barry. And just like Barry knowing that he has someone believing in him kind of makes his power stronger. I don't know how it correlates, but it makes sense. So Iris is kind of going to fill in the Wells thing. I just hope they don't make her, like we keep saying, they need to do something with her character to make her feel like she belongs there, not just she's swooning over Barry this whole time. And to get to that, Barry goes to talk to Iris back at the spot where they first met as the Flash and Iris. And they discuss getting Eddie back, and then in this awkward moment, he's like, I'm gonna get Eddie back, Iris. Like, just know that I will. But when I do, what does that mean? Like, are you gonna still be in love with him? Like, you kind of admitted to being in love with me, and she's just like, I don't know, Barry. I really don't know. The camera pans away, and then finally we get a badass shot for once, and not some crappy romanticness. And we see Grodd climbing the clock tower, and now he's just loose in Central City.
Yeah, which is horrifying.
That's terrifying. And he kind of has, like we mentioned before, the King Kong moment where he climbs like the tallest building, and then jumps off. And I feel like they kind of set him up to be that.
Yeah, I think that was intentional.
Then Wells tells Eddie in the after credit scene here that he has the key as he exits the bunker. And Eddie's kind of like, what key are you talking about? Because Eddie still doesn't even know where he's being held. And then we kind of get this shot. I thought the bunker was going to lead into like Star Labs or something, but it leads into this like long chamber room, which it looks very futuristic. And Wells put this like viral thing in the thing, and the whole room lights up, and he says, quote, this is how the episode ends, time to go home.
Yeah.
So what do we think that means? Do we think he's leaving?
I think he's going to try to leave.
I just don't know if this is what we were talking about in our past reaction time of The Flash, is that we're thinking that season 1, you're not going to see the climax of Reverse Flash and Flash. We're going to see Reverse Flash disappear for a while and then come back maybe in like season 3 or the end of season 2 and be like an awesome cliffhanger comeback moment. And I feel like they kind of set up Gorilla Grodd to be like the final season finale battle of season 1.
I think they're going to have a final battle for the last season.
With Flash and Reverse Flash?
I do, yeah. I think the season finale is going to be the fight with them. And I don't think that it's going to conclude, though, like we said. I think they're going to fight. I think it's going to be crazy and pretty cool, probably. But I think in the grand scheme of things, it's probably going to be a cliffhanger for him to leave and maybe make his way home and then come back later, like we were talking about.
Yeah, because I think he has to just go figure out what his life is at this point. He still has Harrison Wells' body. His whole plan to like train Barry up in order to help him kind of didn't work. It kind of just made Barry stronger. So I think he just needs to reevaluate his plan. Overall, what do we think of the episode? It wasn't my favorite Flash, I'd say.
It wasn't my favorite, but it was still very good. They're pretty on point, pretty consistent. It was good, not great.
Yeah, the Gorilla Grodd stuff was awesome. Papa Joe kind of got worse for me in this episode. Iris just annoys the hell out of me, as we always say. But hopefully they can redeem themselves. We have 3 episodes left of The Flash. The finale is going to be the end of May, they already stated. And in the preview for the upcoming episodes, we still have that crossover episode coming, and it looks like Ronnie and Professor Stein are coming back in a big way. It looks like they figured out all their stuff, and Ronnie's going to be a major player now in helping them kind of take out maybe Gorilla Grodd if they have to team up for it, which I think they're going to need all the help they can get, as we already said, because Gorilla Grodd can flick them all and they can all die.
Yeah. And we see Arrow in that preview as well.
We do see Arrow in that preview. Not as Ra's al Ghul, which we will get to in our hour reaction time. But that is our thoughts on the Flash episode 21, Grodd Lives is what it was titled. We got 3 more episodes left in that. And then I don't know what we're going to be reacting to, but we got to find something else to react to, Dean.
We'll make it happen. We'll get something
going. And also, in other news, the Supergirl pilot finally got picked up by ABC. It is official. It is coming, and it's going to premiere later this year. So we will have that to react to, if anything.
Nice.
But that was our thoughts on the episode. Nothing really in the chat room there about the Flash. We're talking about a bunch of stuff, but nothing really going on with this episode. So yeah, that was our thoughts on the reaction time. Of course, I want to thank you all for watching. You can see all of our other I can't speak.
You're all over the place today, man.
I can't speak English. I don't know why. My finals in my brain, it's just exploding everywhere. That's also what she said, possibly. But all of our other archive reaction times are at YouTube, at our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/levelupshow, level spelled LVL. Of course, the best way to support our show and make this show better for you guys to enjoy, you can do so at patreon.com/levelupnetwork. That time, spelled exactly as it sounds. We will link it for you in the bar. Dean, show them where the bar is going to go.
The bar's going to be right around here somewhere.
It's going to be right around there. Just so, like, he'll be pointing to where the bar's going to be. So, just don't feel like...
I can't reach into you, but I would try to.
Hold on. Wait, let go. No, because now I...
We tried. Oh, wait, yeah, do it.
Wait,
no, let's do it.
Okay.
Well, yeah, we're going to do it.
Okay, hold on, I'm going to come back. Okay, go. No, you have to go the other way. It kind of
looks good. It looked good for a second.
It looked good for like 2 seconds. On another note, Greg is still sunburned from the car ride. If you can see, one of my arms is red and another arm is white.
Yeah,
and that's how we will end this reaction time. Always remember to love people, and we love you so much.
Blah.
That was your... Okay.